What's up, Twisted people? It's your girl here, Chauncey K. Robinson, aka Twisted CKR. And thanks for joining me. For those of you in the live chat and those of you who are in the replay, it's always appreciated as I am talking American Horror Story Double Feature, Episode 5, Gaslight. We got to talk about it because some stuff happened. It was a very focused episode, but I feel like it was probably one of the more terrifying episodes of this season. This whole season has been quite good, if I do say so myself. It has been a very, very quality season. As someone who I've told you all this before, as someone who has watched not all of the seasons of American Horror Story, because it is an anthology, I kind of pick what interests me and I watch that, not all of them, just because. And I love the 1984 one, and to then get this one, which has a totally different kind of tone. And I feel like this one is a bit more sinister. This season has been more sinister. And honestly, this episode in particular drove that home. How sinister and just how terrifying this season has been in comparison to other seasons, which kind of lean a little bit more into the quirky absurdity, the jokes every other line kind of thing that, you know, some of the seasons of American Horror Story and the American Horror Story universe sometimes falls into, right? Tad is saying, hey, from Iowa, great to see you. Great to see you too, Tad. Thanks for joining. Ray is joining us in the live chat. This episode was heartbreaking. Yes, it was. Sabetti, who is agreeing, it was so heartbreaking. I'm still trying to get over it. Yes. And as y'all can see from the picture I have up, Doris and Karen, this one in particular, Doris, of this picture, but also Karen and also Mickey, deserve so much better. And I love this episode, but I was so infuriated by this episode, y'all. Oh my gosh. This one, it did some things. And let's talk about it. So first and foremost, before we start, I want to know what grade you'd give this episode. If you had to give it a grade from A to F, what would it be? Let me know. I'm interested in what your grade would be. I got my grade for it, but I want to know what y'all grade is. Ray is saying, I think this really could have gone right after Roanoke in the tone of 1 through 4 of seasons, right? Fred is saying, strongest episode so far. Thank you for joining us in the chat, Fred. Yes, Mickey was so disappointing. Oh my God, there's some layers to that. We got to talk about it. So Betty is saying it was an A. I agree. Ray is saying, I'm so mad and sad. That's how I know this was great. Yeah. 9.5 from Tad. Agreed. Okay, y'all. So yeah, I give this an A. I give it an A. Not necessarily A plus, but an A. The reason why I don't give it an A plus is because, and maybe so there were some major things that happened this episode. 2 major things to be exact. One, Doris turning into one of the Pell people, and then Karen taking the pill and then basically offing herself and killing Mickey and killing Mickey as well. And I guess you can also just say Harry's descending into what he is now, and Alma and Ursula. Y'all, I don't even like kids in horror a lot of time, but this just drove home just how much I don't like. And not in like they did it wrong, but just like, oh my gosh, because I'll talk about Alma in a little bit because there was some stuff there. Sabetti, I agree with you about where Mickey ended up becoming and everything. Although I do think there's a little bit of a gray area with him, which I do want to talk about. And yeah, Karen was an unexpected hero. She definitely was in her own right. And we got to talk about Karen's fate, because I do wonder what Karen's true fate is, because let's talk about it, right? So I'll focus on the Doris plot line first. You know, we got the whole thing of her having her baby. You know, she had her child, and Harry is there with her, and he drinks the blood from all of that, which was gross, but it kind of just drove home just where we're at. You know, it was gross, but it was also kind of dark too, right? Like, this guy's addicted to the pill for what he has to take it for, but also the drinking of the blood and all this other stuff. So when it opened with that, it was like, whoa, that's where we're at right now, right? And so Doris comes home, but not really her home, because when if people remember, when she last left Harry and Alma, it was the idea that they weren't going to stay where they were. They were going to leave the town. And so, you know, this is where the gaslighting comes in up at. And, Doris wakes up in her bed. She has an IV in her arm. She sees Ursula there. She's looking around. She's like, I don't understand why we're still here. Why are we still here? What's going on? And of course, that begins the title of our episode, which is gaslighting. And y'all, it was heavy. I don't know if anyone's ever experienced gaslighting before, where someone basically, you have your thoughts and someone really, really makes you doubt yourself. One could argue that gaslighting is a form of mental abuse, if we're being honest about it. And so I think that was what was so gut-wrenching about this episode, because, Doris is saying, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. And she has her family, and the family, she, when they were first going here, I even mentioned it in my first live stream of this show, that I actually liked them as a family in a way, because I was like, this is nice to actually have a family that, the husband isn't an out and out jerk, from the jump. The wife kind of has some, autonomy. The little girl is not completely obnoxious. It seems to be working. All of that is dismantled as the season goes on, right? And so imagine being Doris, having your family unit. This is supposed to be your team, and your whole team is against you. And now you got this interloper, Ursula, there also chiming in, kind of becoming Alma's crappy self mother in a way, and it was just like, wow, that's where we're at right here. So Doris was so alone. She had her baby, but that was it, and there were just some really heartbreaking scenes there. And yes, I agree, Sabeti, a masterclass in gaslighting. It really, really was. And yes, I agree that who the hell picked Ursula's right as a nanny? Who did? I don't know. But Harry and Alma are not in their right minds, right? Or they are in the minds of what they've become, because we talked about this too, what the black pill actually does to people, because we know the black pill doesn't necessarily inherently make people crappy, but it can bring out worser tendencies in people. And if some people have worser tendencies than other, we have seen the monsters that they can become. And so you also have to say, what's Ursula's excuse? Because she's never taken the pill. So that's just how she is. She don't even have an excuse, right? So, what we got was 45 minutes or so of watching Doris just go down. It was such a tragic episode, I felt like. And that's why I gave it an A, because I think we all had hope that there would be a plot twist with Doris. I think we all had hoped it. Most of us did anyway. I think some of you actually called it, though, that she was going to, I think Tad was actually the one that called it, was like, nah, Doris is not long for this world. It's not, no. And I had held out hope that the show wouldn't be predictable in making it so that she'd turn. But then again, I thought maybe the show might pull something like, well, you all are expecting us to make it so there's a plot twist with her. But what we're going to do to surprise you is make it so that there's not, right? And I feel like maybe they went that route with it. But watching her walk away from the house as a pale person, twitching and stuff like that, and them just watching her go, and Harry grabbing Alma's hand and smiling at her, I was just like, this, it was infuriating. I was mad, but I was also like, wow, they really stuck the landing and going for that situation. And even when Alma and Ursula are walking past the cemetery, and they look off and Doris is there eating an animal, and they just walk away. It's like, wow. Y'all, it was a lot. And so, Betty, I agree. I had hoped that she was talented in something that maybe, we didn't know. Like maybe it wasn't the talent in the redecorating, but maybe she was talented in some other thing that she would realize that she was talented in. And that's not what happened. Solomon is saying, watching Doris deal with a house full of monsters in more ways than one was so hard to watch. I loved it. I agree. It was really hard. Like when Doris goes downstairs, she has the scissors and she's trying to leave or trying to see what's going on. And then the guy from town, who's funny, he's a funny character, is just basically ripping apart her designs. And she goes down there. She's kind of off from, she has the anesthesia all up in her system and everything like that. She just had a baby. Think about that. She just had a kid, which is a lot on a woman's body and stuff. And all of them, once again, are surrounding her, looking at her. And Harry's like, go upstairs and feed the baby. Like she's just some incubator for the child of his. And now the milk pump for the child to drink from. Like that's all she's really good for. And I really do think, and I hope the show kind of touches upon this, there's this idea, and I think I said it in another live stream, there's this idea that, people who are like geniuses and very specific things, like whether it's writing or, music or singing, all types of stuff, that these are the most important types of people. But that's not how the world works, right? Everyone has their role to play, and all those roles are actually quite important. You can't have a car without an assembly line of workers putting that car together. You can't get your meat and produce and all of that stuff you get at the grocery store and stuff without someone working the line, and maybe they're not super, maybe those people aren't pursuing careers, because who knows, they could be super talented in something else specifically, but they are doing a role. And this idea that the only special ones, the people who are worth it, are the geniuses of the world because they have a particular skill set in one particular thing, it's so damning almost. And I kind of hope the show plays on that somehow. I know we all talked about maybe Lyme disease would come into play somehow because Doris kept looking it up. I hope that doesn't just get a throwaway, but it's just this idea that, because I'm a great writer, I should be, just let her go. Why? Alma's always like, why do we even still need her? Da, 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 da. As if love is just fleeting. And then you had Harry give that crappy monologue talking about, I thought of myself as a family man, but in reality, I was just lying to myself. And, how are you going to feel when I start dating starlets and stuff like that? You turning into this thing is much better for you than us just simply getting a divorce. Really? Really? He has become a monster, which is a shame because he was actually one of the better. I thought he wasn't an out and out, monster. And this episode really just drove that home. Now, one can argue it was the influence of Alma and Ursula, but there's definitely something there where it's like you were playing into it. And watching Doris fight more so a battle that she was just destined to lose. I feel like Doris's only real problem was that she trusted her daughter. She didn't think her daughter would do that to her. That she thought, well, you believe in me, and if you think it, you're smart enough. I don't think you lie to me. But clearly, she did. And I think Alma knew that. We know Alma knew that, and it was heartbreaking. Tad is saying, Alma sent me a red flag when she was counting roadkill 5 minutes in. That's true. Although, kids do have weird, you got kids who like, put a magnifying glass to bugs when they're young. Now when they start killing animals, you got to start side-eyeing them. But, other things, maybe they got morbid curiosities, like when a kid picks a scab just to watch it bleed, things like that. So I didn't really think exactly that she'd be that, but the lengths that they've made her go are like, wow, that's where we're at with this character. Ray is saying, Alma and Homegirl, and that scene was worse for me. That was the cake. Exactly. Solomon saying, I thought that she was talented when she was sketching, but I know she was a goner when she started doubting her designs. Yeah, when she started scribbling and stuff. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe you yourself have to believe you're talented for it to work or something. I don't know. because you have to believe, you have to kind of take the pill to kind of think, okay, I can do it. But yeah, there are others who have taken it and they weren't talented. So I don't know. Fred is saying, I wish they hadn't made it so obvious Doris wasn't a talented interior designer. From episode 1, they made it clear her designing is nothing noteworthy. And I agree with you, Fred. I kind of thought that was the joke of the season a little bit too, when she was comparing the same kind of beige to each other. And I did think that was funny, but I did kind of hope. And when they were making it so obvious that she wasn't a good designer, I was like, well, maybe they'll find something else she's really talented at. Maybe she goes to the store and something happens and she's able to fix a car really quickly or something like that, you know? And I was like, that could be great, because we know the tattoo artist, you know, her thing was, I think it was something else before she became a tattoo artist, but she found out she was really good at inking. So you kind of had hope that might have been the case with Doris, that she'd be really good at something that she didn't even know she was good at, that maybe it would figure that out. Right. So when they didn't do that, I just thought, can we hope that maybe there's another twist? And I want to know what you all think. Do you think there's another twist? Like maybe Doris is now a Pell person, but will she become like, what's the word? Where she can still sense things, where she still kind of has some awareness. Will Doris get her revenge somehow? Because I really hope, y'all. I don't usually want the demise of the young ones. I just kind of usually don't want them in the plot line at all. But I really hope Doris is the one to eat Alma. I really hope Doris is the one to eat her daughter. Because let me know if y'all agree with me, but I need Doris to eat Alma. I need that to be the full circle moment of one of the full circle moments of this season. And I want to talk to y'all about full circle moments and how sometimes American Horror Story, the universe doesn't always follow through in the way I think it should, but there needs to be a full circle moment because Doris deserved better. And it can't just be simply she just got taken out and became a Pell person. I need a second twist. There has to be a second twist there. Ray is saying the daughter was the number 2 most dangerous monster in this town and the agent the number 1 worst. Agreed. So Betty's saying maybe they became Pell people because they have so much self-doubt. That could also be a thing. S. Mark, thanks for joining us in the chat, Mark. It's saying Ursula says there's nothing worse than someone with no talent trying to make it in the world. What is her talent? Did she take the pill? Is her talent finding other talent? I think that's the thing, too. I don't think she took the pill. I just think maybe she's someone who's like, I have a nose for knowing someone can be good. And maybe that is her talent. I'd be curious if she's ever going to take the pill, or maybe she's just like, I don't need to try to take the pill. I just get off on other people's talent. Maybe that's her talent. But there's definitely a good question there. Like, who is she to judge everybody else? Ray is saying, yeah, I agree that it was a joke that living in this home of the gifted and not to be just as good. Exactly. But once again, it's like everyone has their role. She raised Alma. Clearly, Harry was something of an absentee dad in a way because he was always focused on his career. She raised that child. She got it. I mean, now Alma clearly had problems, so maybe she didn't do the best job at raising Alma. Who knows? Can you really blame that on the mother, though, how the child necessarily turns out that way? But she did something, and it's kind of, there needs to be a twist somewhere. Ty saying, it makes me wonder who owns that house to get them there. Exactly. Because they pick something. Why that? Pino is saying, there's a theory the pills have nothing to do with having talent, but having ambition, greed, and immortality versus having compassion and high emotional intelligence. There's a great video on this on Gray Area YouTube channel. Yeah, thanks for that. I definitely think there's a twist with the pills. I don't know what the twist is, but I do hope there is a twist with the pill. Although, I don't know, because, the first Pell person we got, he didn't really seem high intelligence in terms of emotional thing. He kind of seemed kind of cocky and kind of thinking something was like he was a great singer or something, right? So, I don't know. I mean, that would be interesting. I think there's something I kind of hope, because of the fact that this is a chemical thing that happens, although it does bring out the worst in some of the characters, that it can be reversed somehow. Because, what's interesting is the first Pell guy we got, the singer guy, he turned, but it seemed like he turned when he was taking more than just one pill, right? And he went back to the chemist and was like, I need more of the stuff because maybe it's not working. And then she was like, no, you're cut off, right? So clearly he was taking more. And then somewhere in the universe of the show, or the world building of the show, it seemed like all it took was one pill for people to either get really great or really horrible. And I wonder if for some people it takes quicker than others, because it seems like if the black pill works to make people talented, but then they, need blood. But like the chemist told them, or like they knew, or more so Belle Noir said, you don't have to take it year round. You can just take it for when you're writing, like in the winter or something like that. And then you don't have to take it. But we know, Harry was saying with Alma, she has to take it year round because she goes to school and she has to play music. But everyone doesn't have to take it year round, meaning that the effects of it can wear off, right? So I wonder why that's not the case with the Pell people. What is it that as soon as they took it, there's just no going back for them, right? And I'm a little confused on that, if the people who are talented can kind of stop taking it at any time, although they won't be able to do their talent for that time that they're not taking it, but they can not take it and be fine until they start taking it again, even though it turns them into crappy people. So I don't know if that's a plot hole, y'all, or if there's something to that, maybe with the Lyme disease that Doris kept looking up. Ray is saying, come on, Twisted Woman. We know society does not honor child rearing in the same scope as a traditional career, even though it's the most important. No, I agree with you. I'm not, Ray, I know, Ray, I know. You're right. They don't. I mean, it's the same way that women who are home caretakers, have tried to get some form of assistance as like a salary for doing that work, right? And of course, the government doesn't recognize that, whether you agree with that or not, but it is work. And of course, like you're saying, it's not necessarily looked on as a talent. Ray is saying Ursula is super talented and cutthroat. Well, I mean, I guess if you want to say, super talented in, at being cutthroat. Yeah, she's super talented at being cutthroat. Fred is saying, I would love to see Ursula be surrounded by the Pells like TB Karen and take the pill, consequently becoming a ball monster. Ultimate irony. I would love that, Fred. Oh my gosh. From your mouth or your fingers of typing to the writers of this show that they heard it in retrospect and made it that way. Because that would be amazing, right? The irony of this character taking the black pill, being like, I'm talented in this, and then basically realizing, you're a hack. You're good at pointing out and manipulating people, but that's not a real talent. That just means you're a crappy person. I would love that. What I fear, y'all, let me tell you what I fear about what the show is going to be doing with the comeuppance of some of these characters is I fear that Alma won't meet her demise. I fear that because, like I've said this before, about American Horror Stories, that and in American Horror Story too, and in Glee, if we're just going to be using examples of Ryan Murphy's work, is that they have a tendency sometimes to make it so that the character who kind of deserves the worst fate does not get it. In fact, we're made to somehow believe that this character is the main character and the protagonist and not the real villain of the show in regards to some of the things he's done. We saw it in the first season of American Horror Stories recently. I talked about that in one of my live streams of the season finale on that. And I've also experienced it on Glee when it comes to how he treats certain characters and stuff. And we've seen it in some other seasons, right? Where sometimes the characters who deserve the worst kind of fate don't get it. And I worry that may be the case with Alma, that she doesn't get it. I worry about that. And I also worry about that with Ursula, because what we had at the end of this episode was Ursula and Alma going to speak to the chemist. And I worry that they're going to make Ursula some type of Machiavellian who creates this elaborate plan to come out on top at the end of it all. And that's what I kind of worry about, because I don't think that's deserving. She played a similar character actually in the 1984 one, who got their just desserts, which I loved. That character turned so, and you just like, oh, she's got to get it. And she did get it. They made sure she got it, which was amazing. I loved it. And that was great. And I kind of hope that happens again, but I worry that they may not go that route and they may allow them to come out on top, which would suck. But I hope that's not the way we go. Maybe the chemist has another plan going on where she's playing everybody. We saw in the preview of, Belle and Austin confronting Harry and Alma, but we don't know how that turns out, right? But I do worry, and let me know in y'all thoughts in the replay and in the chat. Do y'all think that might be the same thing that could happen? Are you worried that Alma might not get what's coming to her, and then somehow we have to deal with her in some seasons later, grown up or something? That would be. I'm interested to see what you all think about that. So Betty is saying maybe the chemist adjusted the formula. Yeah, when it came to the whole thing about how long it takes for someone to become a Pell person, I would wonder. And yes, and so Betty's also saying the Lyme disease has to make a comeback. I really hope it does, because I think it's kind of weird that Doris was so obsessed with the Lyme disease, was looking it up constantly, and that does not somehow make a play in here. Tad is saying, I would love it if next week, if the chemist just left a note on the door, good luck, and Belle goes back to grades. Like, I don't know, right? Although it does seem like the chemist is in the background of that confrontation. So we'll see. So Betty's saying the demon child always lives in American Horror Story. And that is my problem. I'm like, no. After what she did, like, no. No. She can't come out of this unscathed. Like, seriously, I either she loses her arms or something, like maybe she's super talented, but she loses her arms, her fingers, or whatever. I don't know. I mean, maybe that'd be the fate worse than death, right? Like if her arms and her fingers get cut off or something, I don't know. Something's got to go on. But I would be just because of how much they drove home what happened to Doris, I would be very upset if something doesn't happen to Alma and Ursula. If somehow they are allowed to come out of this unscathed and the ones who come out on top, I just think that would just be so wrong. And I'd have to, honestly, I would say it wouldn't be good storytelling. Why would you make this whole episode about gaslighting, showing just how horribly Doris is being treated and her fate of what happens to her if these characters aren't going to get their just desserts in next episode, right? So that's my issue with it. Hino is saying TB Karen leaves a painting behind before dying. What if she leaves a painting of everything that's been going on in the town for the authorities to find? Yeah, and let's talk about Karen, right? So another fave character of mine, and she walked into the ocean. She killed Mickey, poor Mickey, but also not poor Mickey because he kind of had it coming a little bit. And she walks into the ocean. She seemingly commits, she offs herself and she walks into the ocean. And I loved it because it was kind of poetic that she probably painted this wonderful masterpiece, But I also was like, man, I kind of hope she was going to be the one to bring them all down. And I wonder what y'all thought about that. Do you think that was a good twist? Do you hope that maybe she's not completely dead? We saw something in the preview that a body is taken out of the water. It could be Karen. Is she completely dead? I don't know. I really hope she's not dead. Only because I want her to take down all the people in the town. Not just Harry, but Belle too, because Belle deserves it. Austin, not so much. I don't feel like Austin deserves to be offed necessarily, but I definitely think Belle deserves it because she be eating babies, so she got to go. As much as I love her and I loved her origin story in the last episode, it was really great, but she's got to go, y'all. And so I just kind of hope Karen isn't gone. But to what you're saying, it could be cool if she left a painting of everything that's going on. And where that goes. Now, when it comes to what happened with Mickey, in a way, he deserved it, right? He was ready. He kind of forced her hand with the black pill. She didn't want to die. She told him to keep close. And then he basically is like, take this pill. And if you don't, I'm just going to leave you here because you're just wasting. Like, he made that choice for her when he didn't have the right to, right? And so, yeah, he kind of deserved what he got. You know, he kind of deserved it in a way. Although I would have hoped that maybe she just like tormented him a little bit and then maybe they made up or something. It's kind of sad that it went the way that it did, but he kind of deserved it. Let me know, y'all. Do you agree with the fact of what happened to Mickey? And do you agree with the fact of what happened to Karen was kind of a great way to culminate their plot line? Or do you hope that there's something more to it? I think Mickey's done and gone, y'all. I don't think he's coming back. But I think Karen might be something. Maybe she doesn't necessarily die. And maybe that might connect to the other half of this double feature with the aliens, right? Who knows? The other thing that I do have a question about, and this kind of refers to the previous episode I didn't get a chance to do the live stream for. Mickey met the chemist before. Mickey brought people to the chemist. Yeah, it seems like Mickey only decided to use the black pills after messing with Belle for a while. And they never really explained, like, I guess you could say that maybe Mickey was like, you know, oh, I don't ever, you know, like he was saying, like when the chemist first told him what it could do, he was like, no, I don't want to take that. So maybe just the twist is that he finally decided to. It was just kind of weird to me because initially when the chemist sees him with Ursula, it's almost like she doesn't know him. But in reality, Mickey was the one that was bringing everyone to her in the first place. So that was a little weird that she was kind of acting like she didn't really know him. And now she wants, you know, Belle and, you know, Austin to kill them, supposedly. Because I also think that maybe, you know, maybe there's also something with the chemist that she has a secret plan going on too, because we don't see the whole conversation she had with Ursula, you know, and then Ursula's taking Alma back with her. So we don't know what really is going on. And, you know, American Horror Story sometimes likes to show the rest of the scene that shows the twist and stuff like that, you know. So Betty is saying Alma has got to go. I agree. Solomon, Alma surviving this unscathed would truly be an American Horror Story. It really would. Ray is saying her arms a little twisted. I'm weak. That just got dark real quick. Well, yeah, you know, honestly, you saw what she did to her mom. She needs to lose her fingers. And yeah, that's let's not let YouTube know what kind of character I'm talking about because I do not want to get demonetized or nothing. And that's why I'm playing it real like safe and saying it. This is a character. It's just a character. But something's got to happen where she can't use her talent. I don't know. I just feel like that has to go. That has to happen. As Mark is saying, I think Belle will raise Alma. She will recognize Alma as just as evil and brutal as her and raise her to become a master musician. She might. Then again, Ursula could, right? If Ursula is allowed to come from this unscathed, that might be the case. But I think Belle and Alma need to get their just desserts, to be honest. Tad is saying we need to drag Mallory back to run Alma down. Agreed. Ray is saying twisted. You are campaigning for a child to be mutilated for just desserts. LOL. You are a true American Horror Story fan. You got the darkness. Live, bow, and give her a baby. Maybe, yeah. Tad is saying, can we talk about how Karen told Mickey he was no longer human? Yeah, let's talk about that, right? And I could see why that made Mickey kind of really make his decision of saying, okay, if that's what you think, I'll just leave you here to die. Because there is a little, like, and that's why I said it's a gray area, right? Because of the fact that, yes, Mickey kind of forced her hand, but this was the thing. Karen was staying in a town where she needed the protection of the same people that she claimed to hate. So there's a little bit of that weirdness there too. It's like, why stay in this town? Why not just leave? Why not hitchhike somewhere else where this isn't happening, right? And go somewhere, you know, addiction or not, go somewhere where you don't have to deal with this and you don't have to feel like you need to lean on these people so much who you say aren't human to keep you from the other Pell people, right? So there's a little hypocrisy there with her. And that's why I was like, there's a little bit of a gray area of why I can understand why Mickey's like, well, why should I help you? You don't think I'm human, but somehow I need to protect you? You know, whose fault is this, right? So I kind of understood that. But I also understood Karen's thing of, You also have to admit she's not in her right mind completely all the time. And so there's a little bit of a, what's that about? We also had Karen trying to save the baby, which she gave up on once she saw that the mother, Doris, that's how we got the connected story, had taken the pill. So she's like, you guys are all crazy. Now, what's going to be the fate of the baby now is who knows, but we'll see where that goes. Jen, thanks for joining us in the live chat, Jen. Jen is saying, TB, Karen, and Mickey, I had to snicker at the blood bandits. Yeah, no, they were cute. They were definitely cute, but it was tragic. It was tragic for them. So Betty's saying, yeah, what really made Mickey take the pill? Well, this is the thing. He had to take the pill because he wanted bigger dreams than what he was doing. I mean, he had the Mach 5 and all this other stuff. And, you kind of love that for him, but you also realize what the price is, which is him having to kill people and him being kind of okay with it too, right? Talking about, well, let's kill people no one will miss. But that's also, who are you to decide no one will miss these people? Just because someone's an addict or a thief or something like that, that doesn't mean they don't have a family member that wants them to get better or loves them and stuff. These are still people. So who are they to make that judgment, right? Solomon is saying, I think that Karen will end up being the hero, redeeming the underdog, and she didn't seem to display the same levels of narcissism after taking the pill. That's true. But then that would mean that Karen is still alive. And we don't know if Karen is still alive completely, right? So I guess we'll have to see if that's going to be the case. Tad is saying, did Doris breastfeed after taking the pill? I don't know. That would also be a question, because maybe she did. And does that mean that the baby got something in the blood, right? Something in its system of the pill? That's an interesting point. And would that affect the baby? But then again, what kind of talent can the baby have right now? So I don't know. So Betty is saying, maybe it was seeing others succeed on the pill that made Mickey finally take it. Yeah, maybe he said, hey, if I'm truly talented, then maybe I won't turn bad. But then again, he saw what Belle was about and stuff. So I do think it's a gray area. I think, Mickey was down on his luck. And it was just like, I'm tired of being an addict and living in squalor. When I know I have talent, let me do that, And in a way, you kind of think, he's a tragic character, just like Karen's a tragic character. Doris, definitely a tragic character. And in a way, Harry is a tragic character, because I think he did love Doris, but I think he loved the idea of being famous more. And he let his evil daughter, convince him of that. And it's a shame, because, I also think Alma loved her mother before she took those pills. And it just really made her, as the chemist said, people would feel. The chemist explained this in the origin that, when you take the pill and you're talented, you hate everyone else who's not talented. You kind of just believe, why am I messing with these people? That seems to be the thing. And when you take the pill and you're not talented, you become hateful at everyone else who is, and the fact that you aren't. And that's what makes you the pale person wanting to kill everything. At least that's how she explained it in the poetic sense. Although I do think there's something more technical, science-y about that. And I hope they kind of explain that a little bit more, because it's interesting how they go towards the more, high kind of explanation concept of it. But then there's also like, but it also depletes your blood, which is what makes you like hungry for blood. Okay, so which is it? Does it lean more on the science, or is this some kind of magic pill, right? So I think that's another thing as well. Mark is saying, Karen is made to be the pure one, yet she has been getting babies for Belle. So how good is she really? Exactly. And, even Belle told her I think it was the first episode, when she was getting the baby, and she was like, I only do this so you guys can protect me. And Belle was like, whatever helps you sleep at night, right? So... and now it did seem that she was putting her foot down, though, because she was trying to save the kid and everything like that. She was trying to do something better. But in the end, that's what happened. Once again, another tragic figure. There's a lot of tragic figures in this season. And I love that about this season. I love that this season is digging its feet into what this might mean for these characters, and not kind of taking the easy, quirky route when it comes to just kind of making everything kind of a joke and a little silly. There are real stakes here. For all the remaining characters, there are real stakes. whether you like those characters or not. I think this also makes us wonder, now that Doris seems to be a pal person, Karen seems to be dead, perhaps, who are we left to root for? And I want to know what y'all thoughts are on the replay in the chat. And Mickey's dead too. Mickey was a great character. Who are we left to root for? I don't think I can necessarily root for Harry, because I mean, he's lost his senses. Definitely not Alma. Ursula, no. Austin, maybe if he comes to his senses, but he seems to be kind of like a smaller player in all of this. So who is there left to root for in this season, right? And that's why I have to hope that Karen comes back somehow, or that even Doris in her state, somehow, maybe she rallies the other Pell people and they attack or something like that. I don't know, but it's like, who do we root for? What's left? And I'm curious about that, because I do think when it comes to a story, you need someone left to root for. All your decent characters, the ones who are actually okay and good, they all can't be dead, right? They all can't be out of the play, because then you're left with, well, why am I watching all the villains, right? And I want to know, do y'all have that same sentiment? Do you think it's kind of like, well, who's there left? Mark is saying, I guess we have to root for the baby. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe we root for the baby, but we don't know the baby. We kind of just met the baby. I guess we have to root for the baby actually making it out of it somehow. Maybe. Or maybe Harry coming to his senses. I mean, right now with everyone gone, the closest we have to a decent character is Harry, even though he's kind of turned into who he is. Hino is saying, I'm rooting for Doris next episode. She can still have her revenge of the all. Yeah, that's my thing. The main person I'm still rooting for is Pell Doris. Pell person Doris is who I'm rooting for right now, that somehow she exacts revenge from what happened. Ray is saying, I like the analogy of vampires and ghouls. Yeah. So Betty is saying, TV Karen had guilt and shame about her actions. That makes her different from Belle. That's true. In my opinion, too, I agree. Ray is saying, I think this pill has alien origins to tie back to Asylum and the alien incident that augmented that character's IQ significantly after they experimented on her. Yeah, that's a plausible theory. We don't know what's all going to be revealed, right, y'all? So there's a lot to be revealed. So Betty's saying, we are getting a new sheriff. Maybe we can root for her. Maybe we can. I did see that in the preview. We're getting a new sheriff. How much we can root for, I don't know. She does seem to be like, you all are hiding something. We saw that. So maybe we got to root for the sheriff. Because right now, everyone that's left needs to pay. Except Austin. I don't mind Austin that much. But everyone else that's left here, Belle, Harry, Alma, Ursula, they all need to pay. So, you know what I mean? Jen is saying, Doris needs to bite her daughter's hands off. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I agree. That would, like I said, something's got to happen where she can't explore her talent. I would love that. I would love that more than her getting gotten in that sense. I would love for that to be the case. So Betty's saying, yes, the baby, that's who we root for. Basic beige Doris, Mark. Yeah, she's kind of basic, but she didn't deserve what she got, right? So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I think we I'm really interested, because I think this is supposed to be the last episode of this part, right? I think after this episode we go into the Death Valley, right? I think that's what we get. So a lot of stuff needs to happen in this episode. A lot of things need to possibly be revealed or something. So I don't know. Sabetti is saying Alma needs a huge timeout with no violence. Yeah, she needs to not be able to use her violin anymore. I'm hoping, man, that would just be so satisfying. But yeah, y'all, those are my overall thoughts. This is still one of my favorite. I honestly think this is my favorite season thus far of what I've watched, American Horror Story. And I am just really interested what you all have to say. Let me know in the replay section what your theory is. Where do you think all of this is going? Because like I said, if all of our supposed maybe kind of heroes are done with, if they're really done with, where are we going with all this? I love it, but I'm like, okay, what's the end game of this season, right? So Solomon is saying the Pell people can be controlled by the talented, but maybe Doris will end up as the queen of the Pell people to exact revenge. Wishful thinking. Let's keep our fingers crossed, because Doris, after what we had to witness with Gaslight, which was so brutal, the gaslighting she got, she has to get a come up. I just think that if they don't, Tad is saying at least Doris matches the swatches now. You bad, Tad, you bad, but you're not wrong though. You're not wrong. I would just love that for her to get that, because it's necessary, y'all. Something. I'd be mad if it ends without that. Yeah, Ursula and Alma cannot come out on top of this. So let's put the bets out there, y'all. Let me know in the replay section. Do you think Ursula and Alma are going to come out of this unscathed, or do you think they're going to get what's coming to them in the next episode? Let me know. Comment down below. And if you haven't already, y'all, please do give this video a thumbs up, a like. Feed the algorithm monster of YouTube, because why not? And also, if you are feeling like it, but no pressure, if you don't, super chat love is always appreciated. But I always love talking to you all, particularly about this show, because it has been so interesting so far. So I'm excited about it. But yeah, let me know y'all theories, because I really liked this episode, but it was a hard watch because, oh my gosh, when all the characters, when all the characters that you love, kind of every character I liked got a bad ending this episode. So I was feeling some type of way. I was like, wait a minute, all three of them? Wow. So I don't know what's going to happen next episode, and if I'm going to be compelled to care with some of the characters that are left. So we'll see where it goes, y'all. Jen saying Alma the stump, fingers crossed. Let's hope. Fingers crossed on that too. But thank you all again for joining me for American Horror Story Episode 5 Double Feature. I love talking stories with you all. If you are watching the Paramount Plus / CBS show Evil, please join me and my mama on Tuesdays as we talk about the show. And if you are watching Why? The Last Man, which is a new show on FX / Hulu, I will also be doing weekly live streams of that starting this week, where I'll be talking about episodes 1 through 4 about that show. But until then, stay safe out there. Watch wonderful shows, take in some good stories, read great stories, write your own great stories, as I'm sure you all are talented enough, and you don't need a black pill to do it. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you all, and all of you who come here each week with me. Stay safe out there, y'all.